There are many horror concepts that can become far less scary the more you explain them. And honestly, I think in modern horror we keep forgetting that. The Backrooms became one of the most effective horror ideas on the internet because it understands something incredibly simple. Fear doesn't always come from what you see. Sometimes fear comes from what you cannot understand. An endless yellow hallway, buzzing fluorescent lights, moist carpet, no music, no explanation, no reason, just a place that shouldn't exist. And somehow, that became one of the most memorable horror concepts in the last decade. How did this happen? A picture on Reddit. I think we all know the story by now, I won't get into it. But now, oh now, The Backrooms is becoming a movie. I want to like it, I want to love it. But honestly, I think it could become either one of the best modern horror films, or completely destroy what made The Backrooms so terrifying in the first place. Because I think the single biggest risk facing The Backrooms movie is explanation. Hello everyone, my name is Falcon and welcome to What Am I Watching? Tonight, I want to talk to you about why The Backrooms works so well, why Kane Pixels' vision became such a phenomenon online, and why I'm honestly more than just a little bit nervous about the upcoming movie adaptation. Not because I think it'll look bad. Absolutely the opposite. My fear is that it might look incredible, while accidentally misunderstanding what made this concept work so well in the first place. So turn off the lights, stay a while. Let's learn a few things together, shall we? One of the things I love so much about older horror stories is how little they often explain. Not always, but usually. The haunting is just that. It's a haunting. The cursed thing was just cursed. The evil place was simply evil. And you know what? That uncertainty is what makes those stories linger. Modern horror has become obsessed with explanation. Everything needs lore, an origin story, hidden mythology, a connected universe, timelines, rules, and answers. We can't just have ghosts anymore. Now we need the ghost's childhood, their trauma, their motivations, the exact year they died, the color of the nail polish they used to wear when they were alive. And yeah, sometimes that can work, but a lot of the time, most of the time, the explanation becomes less interesting than the mystery itself. One of my favorite examples of this is actually from a Stephen King film, 1408. There's a moment where Samuel L. Jackson's character explains the room by saying something simple.
You misunderstand. Whatever's in 1408 is nothing like that.
Then what is it?
It's an evil fucking room.
It's an evil fucking room. And honestly, perfection. That line works because the movie understands something important. Some things become scarier when they refuse to fully explain themselves. The room is horrifying because it feels unknowable, indifferent, wrong. And that's one of the reasons the Backrooms works online. The original Backrooms image is honestly kind of genius. Not because it's visually complicated, but because it feels accidentally real. A real location that someone could actually stumble into. There's nothing cinematic about it. There's no dramatic monster, no blood on the walls, no elaborate setup or design. Just empty space. The image itself creates an almost immediate emotional reaction, because something about it feels deeply incorrect, like reality itself has become glitched. And the internet collectively understood that feeling almost instantly. The Backrooms became terrifying because it triggered something weirdly primal, the fear of spaces that exist outside human understanding. And Kane Pixels understood this perfectly. That's why his videos worked so well. They don't feel like polished Hollywood horror. They feel discovered, like someone accidentally found footage of something they were never supposed to see. Like someone accidentally found footage of something they were never supposed to see. The environments feel impossible. The movements even feel wrong. The space itself feels indifferent to human life. And most importantly, the videos trust the audience. They don't stop every 5 minutes to explain what the creature is, where it came from, how the dimension works. That symbol on the wall, I bet you didn't know it meant this. That's important, remember it. The mystery is the horror. And honestly, that restraint is incredibly rare now. Because modern storytelling has developed a real strange fear of ambiguity. Studios seem terrified that audiences will become frustrated if every question isn't answered immediately. So now everything needs exposition, explanation, lore reveals, a gigantic twist, detailed mythology. And sometimes it feels like horror movies are so focused on explaining the monster that they forget to actually make it frightening. You have to remember, once you fully understand something, part of the fear of that something disappears. The unknown is so powerful. And cosmic horror, especially cosmic horror, depends on that feeling. The best cosmic horror stories are not scary because the monster is strong. They're scary because the monster is incomprehensible. The moment the audience fully understands the thing, the scale collapses. And that's what worries me about the Backrooms movie. Not the visuals, not the acting, and not the production. Honestly, A24 will probably make it beautiful. All their movies are beautiful. That's not my concern. My concern is the storytelling and the speed. Because the creator himself has already mentioned that the movie may feel like a reward for longtime fans. And I understand why people are excited about that, but it also makes me nervous. Because rewards often mean answers. I'm not saying you can't give answers, but there are so many questions we have. And to try to answer those in under 2 hours, that terrifies me. And I genuinely think the Backrooms will become less effective the moment it starts explaining too much, too fast. The Backrooms should feel larger than the audience's understanding. The moment we fully map it, we catalog it, define it, and organize it, something important dies. Because the horror was never really the monsters in there. It was the space itself. It was the mystery, the silence, the endlessness, emotional isolation. That feeling that reality just stopped making sense entirely. That is magical. And I truly hope this movie protects that. Now, to be clear, I actually think Kane Pixels is incredibly talented. Seriously. Dude, you have so many better things to do right now than watch a silly video like this, but by chance, you are there watching this. I am rooting for you. I really, really am. I want this to be amazing. I love your work, and when I say you're incredibly talented, I mean that. I really do. Seriously. What Kane accomplished with the Backrooms is honestly one of the most important horror successes on the internet in years. He proved something that a lot of studios had forgotten. That atmosphere matters more than we think it does. Pacing matters. Restraint matters. And you know what? More than anything, trusting the audience matters. The reason his videos stayed with people is because they feel strangely believable. Not realistic, not by any means, but believable. Emotionally believable. The environments feel like places human beings are not supposed to exist inside, much less see. And that emotional wrongness, for lack of a better word, is what makes the series so special. Not lore. Not monster reveals, not explanations, mood, or the scale, isolation, dread. And honestly, I think Kane Pixels understands horror way better than major studios already, which is exactly why I'm cautiously optimistic. Because if anyone can preserve what makes the Backrooms work, it's probably the person who made people afraid of fluorescent lights and damp carpets in the first place. I really hope the movie understands something simple. The Backrooms doesn't need to answer everything. Actually, it probably shouldn't. Some horror concepts survive specifically because they remain incomplete. Again, once the audience fully understands the nightmare, part of that nightmare disappears. And maybe that's the real challenge facing the Backrooms movie. Not whether it can recreate the visuals, but whether it can resist the temptation to explain the mystery away. Because the scariest thing about the Backrooms, again, it wasn't the creature. It was that feeling that reality itself quietly just stopped working around you. That's way more terrifying than any monster ever could be. But I'm dying to know. Let me know your thoughts on the Backrooms movie down below. Do you think it should explain more? Or do you think the mystery is exactly what made it work in the first place? And if you watched this far, I must be doing something you like. It would mean a lot if you considered subscribing. Because this channel, it's one of those stories. It doesn't just end, it sits with you. We talk about things that are worth talking about. And maybe we learn something together along the way. Thank you all for listening tonight. And I do hope to see you in the next video. And remember, stay out of places that shouldn't exist. What he accomplished with the Backrooms is honestly one of the most important... Why can't I say important? Because it's followed by horror. Important. Horror-tent. Important. I'm losing my mind. What he accomplished with the Backrooms is honestly one of the most important horror success stories on internet. This line will be the death of me, it will. That's gotta be the worst Yoda I've ever heard in my life.